CPI. It's your consumer price index. How much does it cost for you to buy things? Now, this report is very, very tough to gauge at face value because you could see that it went from 8% to 8.2% and the market skyrockets. You're like, wait, why does that? What doesn't make any sense? Well, higher interest, means that the Fed might have to be more careful on, higher inflation might mean that the Fed has to, be more aggressive or more dovish on rates or that, but that's not what matters. What matters is where did these numbers come from? What in this package is where the numbers are going? Where is the increase coming and where is the decrease coming? Okay. So just to give you guys some context, some of these numbers are the highest they've been since before a lot of us were born, okay? So in May, these are the reports for May, okay? These are the May numbers. Now, I tweeted out the raw numbers, but I'm going to give you the reason that this is so important. Originally, we got the last report. The last report that came out last month showed a decrease, right? Like, oh, wait, we actually dropped on inflation numbers? We peaked, and everybody peaked. Oh, we peaked, we're going. And what do we say? No. It's not a trend. It's one report. We got to see a trend. If there's two in a row, if it came in lower today, then maybe, okay, we could start talking about maybe inflation peaking. But not only did it come in higher, it came in higher in some very, very important and very, very specific areas that were very, very negative for the overall economy. And I don't mean like, corporations economy. I mean like mom and pop economy, okay? Like spending power, consumer power, okay? All right. First thing we want to talk about is the CPI went up 1 full percent for May. Okay, 1%. It's insane at this point. But I think it's just like the S&P. We see the S&P move 3% an hour. At this point, we're like, oh, whatever, just a crazy day. 5 years ago, that would have been a fucking black swan event or a goddamn, explosion. They expected 0.7%. Okay, this is actual. Expectation 0.7%. So it came in significantly higher. But what's even more impressive in a bad way is that the last report, remember the last report was actually lower than expectations? The last report was 0.3%. So they expected it to more than double, but it more than tripled. Not a good sign. But here's the other thing that's really important. Where did these numbers increase the most? Now, during the initial inflation increase in 2020, 2021, a lot of that, like 2/3 of it, was used cars. Okay? That sucks. But it wasn't as impactful on the everyday purchasing power of everyday people. Why? Because a lot of people were working from home. A lot of people weren't even buying cars. Okay? A lot of people were going back to work and they were buying used cars, but there was an inventory issue. And the prices of used cars, which are added into a lot of the CPI numbers, were through the roof. But if 2/3 of the increase is used cars, the market's not really going to care about that too much because that's going to eventually settle down once supply chains, ease back in and inventory gets filled up again. But this time, the biggest contributors were three things. And I'm going to write them down, and I'm going to let you guys formulate your own ideas to why people are freaking out today. Number one, shelter. Did you know that a report came out this week that the average rent in America is now $2,000 per month? Some of y'all that live in San Francisco, New York, you're like, whatever, it's like $7,000 here. Yeah. You also make more. This is the average. This is every little small podunk town out there too. And so if you're saying to yourself, well, Stocky, interest rates are going up. The average mortgage rate is over 5% now when it was at 3%, 2 years ago. And people are running out of cash. And we're finally starting to see houses that are for sale actually dropping their prices on the market for the first time in a long time. But why are people still buying them? Why not? Especially if you have the cash to do it and you don't have to worry about what the interest rate is. You buy it at an elevated price because it's so expensive, nobody can fucking afford to buy a house. Vast majority of people. And so what do they have to do? They have to rent. And now you have more people renting, meaning you can jack up the prices. And this is why a year ago I was screaming at you guys to, if you're planning on staying for another year, to go up your contract or renew it now before they get to the point where they're just going to hit you with the re-up and you have to pay it or move out. Average is not the same as median. No, that is true. Okay, averages can be skewed, just like the average home price in America is now $403,000, but the median is lower because you take away the top 1%. Shelter was number one. Number two, and it ain't getting any better. The average price of a gallon of gasoline in America, now $5 per gallon. They were expecting July, August for $5. It hit a lot early. Guess what that means? Their next prediction of $6 by September, October might be right around the corner. Some places in California, it's $7.50 a gallon. Why does that matter? Well, not only does the average household of people that travel and drive their kids to school or go to work going to cost a lot more, but how do we get most of our shit to our stores? Trucking. Every time you're on the street or on the road and you see the Walmart, okay, or the Aldi or whatever the fuck it is, or Publix, there's a lot of costs associated with this. Who's that woman? Oh, I feel truck drivers, they need loving too. Okay? Gasoline is very expensive. And when people can't afford, they have to start making cuts elsewhere because they have to go to work to make money, right? And unlike the EU, the US does not have great public transportation. Okay, that's why everyone drives here. That's why America is always having car emissions, because we never built fucking good infrastructure for public transportation, because the vehicle lobby, the lobby for the automobile industry was so goddamn strong in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, because we were the goddamn producers of the world. It made so much fucking money that they convinced all of the politicians not to invest in that, so people had to buy cars so they could make more money. And now here we are, fucked down the Rhine. Sorry, I went a little political there, but that's just kind of the truth of the history of it. So in America, we have to pay for gas. And it's for everything. Airlines, cruises, you name it. Gas is insane. But guess what else is also involved in this? It's also energy, guys. Not just gas like petroleum gas, but natural gas. Okay? A lot of people use heating and air conditioning through natural gas and other forms of energy. Okay? This is crazy. And then what's number 3? This report? Anybody? Anybody? Food. I don't even know if I need to break this down. We knew that this was happening. For those of you guys that were with me my first day in New York City, I did a little IRL stream in Discord. I was talking to the food cart guy who did fucking kebabs and falafel and shit. Just had a conversation on the ground. My man had to raise his food plates from $6 to $7 to $8, and he said that the meat that they were getting, they were buying it for $100 per unit 4 months ago. It's now $140 per unit, which means he has to also pass the costs on to customers. But the average household is dealing with this. And this is actually positive data for some companies like Walmart and others, because people are going to have to stop buying name brand stuff and buying the value brand stuff, which is great for the companies because it costs them less because they don't have to pay the middleman. But terrible for companies like Kraft Heinz and Keurig Dr. Pepper and Procter & Gamble and stuff like that. But food prices are going up, guys. Food prices are going up pretty significantly. And back to what we said about energy, the energy index, right? The index that kind of gives us an idea of how much energy is costing, whether it's through oil or natural gas or coal or whatnot. The energy index dipped last month, and people got some hope. But 3.9% month over month for the energy index. Gas index, 4.1%. That's month over month, not year over year. So this report was a little bit different and more damning than the others because these were stuff that are directly going to impact everyday Americans' purchasing power. These are necessities. These aren't used cars and, airline tickets and hotel rooms. No, this is where you live, how you get to the place that you get a paycheck to pay some of this shit off, and how you eat. Like, these are the important things. And when you start hitting Americans there, that's not discretionary spending. That's actual spending. And actual spending is going to destroy discretionary spending. And what happens when you destroy discretionary spending? If less people are buying shit, companies can't employ as many people. Unemployment goes up. And less people are making money, which means they're not selling their services. Well, some are going to have to sell their services in some seedy places, but selling their employment services. They're not buying as much shit. GDP drops. Unemployment goes up. Inflation's still going up. So the market's diving. It's pricing that shit in. This CPI, just because the CPI was higher than expected, didn't mean we were going to fucking bottom out. It's about where those numbers came from. Now, year over year, okay, we're talking month over month. Let's talk year over year. CPI, 8.6%, guys. 8.6%. The prior was 8.3%. Consensus was 8.2%. They thought it was actually going to continue down. But no, year over year, 8.6% on the CPI. Energy index was number one with 34.6%. That means it costs 34.6% more to consume energy than it did a year ago. The last time we saw that high of an increase was in 2005, guys. It's the last time we saw a 12-month increase that big. Now, I am not here to fudge you. I'm just here to give you the numbers. But here's the scary thing. Anybody in here who has kids or has a family to feed, you know how much it costs. Even when you bargain and coupon, and you know what? It's tough. But as a lot of these people are going to get laid off because of a recession and to no fault of their own, and they're already struggling, I want to put this to you right now. The year-over-year food index, how much it costs to eat, to feed your family, or the kitchen table, as Biden likes to talk about it, has jumped 11.9% in 1 year. It costs 12% more to buy food than it did a year ago. You might say, well, that's not a lot. You know what? Even if you're budgeting and you have a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids, and you're budgeting and you're at $250 a week, that's $1,000 a month. 12%, it's $120. That's $1,500 per year more just to feed your family, and you're already budgeting. Remember how they said before COVID, about 50% of Americans couldn't afford a $400 emergency? Imagine $1,500 just to eat. And that's if you're budgeting and what you're eating. If you're eating like bacon or steak or something, it's way more. Now, here's what's going to blow your mind. That increase, anybody want to guess the last time, and I told you guys this morning, but anybody who wasn't here this morning, anybody want to guess the last time that we had an increase that high in 1 year? Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to say this is the end times. I don't know if it's going to get better, it's going to get worse, or what it is. I'm just giving you guys the numbers. Core CPI also went up. Of course, this was, this had bigger increases when it came to like airlines and cars and stuff like that, but I'm not paying attention to that one. But we're still coming down to the point where one of two things is going to happen, and it's inevitable. I don't care what any fucking pundit says. It's like when the government says, well, the government says we're not in a recession. The government also says unemployment's at 3.2%. Do you fucking believe that shit? No, I can scramble numbers any way I want. There's fucking 25 million working age adults out of the workforce right now with a workforce of 150 million. Do the fucking math. Do the fucking math. That's not 3.2%. Well, it's people that are actively looking for work. Okay. What I would say is it's inevitable that we're going to hit one of two things. This is pretty much where we're at. How long we're in it is a different story, right? We could be in a recession for 1 quarter. We could be in stagflation for 2 months. I don't know. At this point, this is the better option. This is pulling the Band-Aid off. The Fed should have did this a long time ago. They should have just fucking ripped the Band-Aid off and raised rates last year. It's like I would rather you come to me and say, hey, listen, this isn't working out, and I'm going to go fuck your best friend, than fuck my best friend for 6 months and me find out. Okay? Just get it over with. But we're too late for that. They won't, because recessions loses elections. Well, they won't call it. See, that's the thing. They're not going to call it a recession. They're going to revise the last one up and wait for the next report, which is after election midterms. And all of you guys saying, well, thanks, Biden. Bro, this isn't one person. Everybody was so happy at the end of Trump's administration because they were all making money. But they were making money because of all the shit that caused a lot of what's happening now. And the new administration didn't do anything to fix it. They just continued it. But that's how it happens. They always get blamed. The next guy always gets blamed. Now, I'm not saying that Biden and them aren't doing anything to that they're not adding to the problem. They definitely are. But like, we can't just put this all on Biden. Like, there's no point in blaming people though, because it's the same shit over and over again. It's a cycle. And the cycle will end. Some of you guys haven't lived through the cycles before, or weren't aware of the cycles before, or you know what? You're all freaking out right now, and I love it. You want to know why? Because the next time it comes around, you're going to be like me and just like, all right, fuck it. Day to day, we'll see what happens. Maybe it's up, maybe it's down. You disagree? That's fine. I mean, we can have open discussions. I'm not, what I say is not matter of fact. I'm giving my opinion on stuff like that. I have no problem with you guys with disagreeing. I mean, like I said, we have opinions, and there's nothing wrong. I'm just giving you my opinion.